Hi everyone, I'm Ellen March and welcome to So What? This is Sulky of America's social media series, and we bring this to you weekly so that we can come together as a community and talk about what we're sewing, any sneak peeks that are coming up, fun project ideas. And please, if you have any questions about things that you're working on, if you need some sewing guidance, if you have any questions about Sulky products, now is the time to put those in the comments so that we can address them for you live. So welcome everybody. I hope you're having a great start to your day. I have some fun and exciting things to share with you today. Let me know where you're from and give us a comment, like, and share the post because today we have another great giveaway. Today I'll be giving away a brand new 6-pack of Sulky thread that we've packaged up for all of the things you're going to be creating for Memorial Day, 4th of July, all the patriotic pride that you want to be embroidering and embellishing for the upcoming holidays and just summer in general. And, you know, what better time to have some patriotic pride than when we're coming together as a nation, sticking together, staying home, keeping our brothers and sisters safe. So we'll start there today with our brand new red, white, and U mini palettes. Now, I'm calling this a mini palette because we have some machine embroidery palettes and thread palettes that have a lot of thread spools in them. They have 10 thread spools and they come with a design collection. Well, for these, they come with 6 thread spools, and we've mixed and matched different thread types so that you can experiment and have a lot of fun with the decorative threads that Sulky has to offer. You know, you don't have to just keep with rayon thread when you're doing a machine embroidery, and you don't just have to stick with 12-weight cotton petites when you're doing handwork. You can add some other fun threads into the mix to create some really cool effects. And it's a great time to add effects and sparkle to your projects when we're talking about patriotic designs, right? Fireworks and stars and Statue of Liberty, all these things need to glow and need to pop. So what better time to experiment with these threads than when you're stitching some of these patriotic designs? So the great thing about these mini palettes is they come with a design collection as well. So let me get started and show you a little bit about what I'm talking about. So here we go. These are the 12 threads that are included in the Handwork palette. Now, like I said, you get 6 spools of thread with this palette and 6 exclusive designs to use for handwork. So the designs will come as a PDF download with your purchase of this 6-pack. So you'll get these 12-weight cotton petites. You see there's 4 spools of those. There's actually a 5th spool, but that's one of our blendables. So it's the same weight of thread, but you can see the red mixed with a little bit darker red and a little bit of pinks in there. That's one of our blendables. So you get to try that out if you haven't tried it before, but it's a great color to use for like a monochromatic design because you'll get to see all the different thread colors going through the design. And then you get a spool of metallic. Did you know you can use metallic thread for handwork? If you put 1 strand of metallic thread in with a strand of the 12 weight, while you're sewing, it just adds a pop of sparkle into all those stitches that you're creating. So this palette gives you the opportunity to play around with that and to create some really cool effects. So along with your thread, you'll get this package of designs, and it's called Red, White, and U. So I'm just going to go through really quickly to show you some of the designs in the collection. They were designed with a sort of handwork like chalkboard art style, hand done look. So they're very organic, and you can use satin stitches mixed with back stitches for these. There's a lot of opportunity to switch between thread colors, and these little spritzes, I call them, that's where you could put the metallic mixed with a different color like the black. So those are a couple of the designs. This is one of my favorites. You can enlarge this and make a really cute pillow, or even put it in the center of a quilt. This would be really pretty. And here's another one, Lady Liberty. This would be great on a t-shirt. Most of these are in black and white just to show you the designs, because, you know, if you're going to choose a white color, it's relatively hard to see in a picture like this. But you'll download these, print them out onto Sulky Stick and Stitch. Stick and Stitch is what we really love to use for design transfer, because you can run it through your printer and then put it on the right side of your fabric and sew right through it. Then it washes away completely when your embroidery is done. No one knows it was there, and you have the most professional looking embroidery. It also stabilizes your fabric, and I'm going to get to that in just a moment here, but I want to show you our last design here that comes with the collection. This is the Born Free design. And, you know, these stars are rather, I don't know, perfect looking. I used them just as a guide to create little starbursts on the design I'm about to show you. So take liberties, you know, this is really just giving you kind of an outline, rather, of how you can sew the design out. But it is really handy to have these letters already created for you that you can just print out and start sewing right over. So I took this design and I decided to embroider a little onesie, because how cute, Born Free on a baby. I love it. All right. And how cute would it be? I had grand ideas for, which I still have time to do, for making a onesie. And then I have a shirt that is for a 5-year-old that I'm going to embroider. And then having, you know, 2 adult shirts. You could have the mom wearing Lady Liberty, the baby with the Born Free, the red, white, and blue on the 5-year-old shirt. I mean, what a great photo op, right? It's all about the photo op. But anyways, I started with the onesie, and what I did was printed the design out on Stick and Stitch. You can see the Stick and Stitch has a fabric-like look to it, but it's actually these like compressed fibers that again will just wash away. It is non-woven, but it feels like it's fabric. And the other side is a sticky, self-adhesive substance that's covered in paper. You want to be sure that you're printing on the other side, so on the fabric-like side. So you'll run the design through your printer, cut it out, place it on your onesie or t-shirt, and then, like I said, sew right through it. Choose your threads that you want from the palette and just start sewing. And you can see here, I just started with a running stitch along those the skinnier parts of the lettering, and then I went to a wider satin stitch, and then back to or a back stitch rather, not a running stitch, then back to a back stitch. And in the description for today's post, I linked a great video series that we have. It's called Hand Embroidery for Kids, but it's really a great primer for anybody who wants to brush up on their hand embroidery skills or remember how those stitches are formed. So you can check out that video series. It's not just for kids, but it is a great way to get kids into the art of sewing and embroidery as well. So you just sew through all layers. Now, the tip that I wanted to discuss today about doing this on t-shirts is, even though you have that layer of stick and stitch on the top of your fabric, and notice I didn't use a hoop here. It is not in a hand embroidery hoop, because that stabilizer really does a great job of keeping your fabric nice and flat without stretching. I did find, however, onesies are really lightweight knit fabrics, so I put another little patch of stick and stitch on the back. And actually what I used was sticky Fabrisolve. Sticky Fabrisolve and stick and stitch are actually the same product. So if you happen to have sticky Fabrisolve, you can use this interchangeably as long as you have these printable sheets for the design transfer. Now the reason I use sticky Fabrisolve for the back of the shirt was because I'm lucky enough to have a bolt of it, and I can just cut a little patch to go on the back side, but I use my stick and stitch on the top. So it gets a little confusing when we talk about it being the same product. It's just packaged differently, and you can get this one in rolls and bolts. All right. So stick and stitch, sticky Fabrisolve, whatever you plan to use for your design transfer and stabilization of the shirt or onesie, try putting a little bit on the back side and sewing through all of those layers. It just makes sure that you're not going to get stretching anywhere on the t-shirt, because after you wash away that sticky Fabrisolve, that's when you're going to see if any of the t-shirt knit has stretched, and then it's going to be too late. Even if it does stretch, it'll be so minimal that probably only you can see it, but you might stare at it and it might bother you over time. So that is my tip for making sure that it's nice and straight and stable for you. So then once you've completed your embroidery, like I said, rinse all the stabilizer away. Now you want to rinse it in running water under a faucet. A kitchen sprayer does a really great job. Don't submerge something like this in a pool of water and just wait for it to dissolve, because depending on your printer ink settings, the ink might lift off from the surface of the stick and stitch and kind of float to another area of the shirt and then land there once you pick the shirt out of the water. But if you rinse it with running water, you won't have any ink transfer on to another part of your shirt. Now that has happened to me a couple of times because I just wasn't paying attention, and I was able to get the ink out. I used a special spot remover called Grandma's Spot Remover, I think that's what it's called. And I just let it sit on there and it took the ink right out. So, phew, crisis averted. But, just get ahead of it and just know that that might be a possibility. And to avoid that, just be sure to rinse it the correct way. And then roll it up in a towel and really get all the water out so that nothing kind of wants to bleed onto the fabric, okay? All right. So that is the onesie design, and here is what it ended up looking. That one's a little harder to see on the white background. There we go. So there is the finished onesie, so cute. And what I did was I used that metallic thread and I blended it with a strand of the 12-weight cotton petites to make those starbursts. And I think it turned out pretty cute. So I keep making these onesies and I need to find a cute baby to model them. All right, so that's project number 1 that we're talking about. And I've got full instructions for how to make this onesie on the blog at blog.sulky.com. And I put the direct link for it in today's description of the post. So make sure you click see more so that you can see all the links I've put in today's post. And this tutorial would apply whether you're doing it on a onesie or making a t-shirt of any size. So use the same tutorial if you're going to make, a family suite of t-shirts, not just for onesies. All right, so that is our handwork project. And here is the machine embroidery palette. So With this palette, you get 3 spools of rayon thread, you get a spool of metallic, you get a spool of bobbin thread for your machine embroideries, and you get a spool of white glowy. So if you haven't tried the glowy thread, what a cool idea to add a little bit of glow to your fireworks and patriotic themed designs, because hopefully we will all be out watching fireworks from somewhere. And it's so cute to see the kids running around with the little glowy shirts, and maybe your whole family has the same design, and it's just a cute idea. If we're lucky enough to be going on vacations later on this summer, so fun to see all those families at Disneyland with the matching shirts. Same deal here. Matching shirts with your sulky glowy thread. So if you haven't tried it, this palette is a great way to sort of wet your feet and embroider with that glowy thread. Now, I will say, do not touch your iron anywhere near that glowy thread. You can go around the outside edge of where it has been embroidered, but do not touch your iron on the surface of that thread. We always recommend to press your finished work from the back side, and in this case, use a press cloth and from the back side with an iron that is not too hot, because that glowy thread will kind of melt together and you'll have this bulletproof design that no longer is similar to any other part of your thread. All right, so I do see some questions coming in. Let me address some of the questions, and then I'm going to show you what I have started to make with the Machine Embroidery Red, White, and U mini palette, and then I want to get your opinion on my next project that I'm making with it too. So let's see if we have some questions. Okay, so Betty wants to know, the 12-weight thread package for hand embroidery should be fine for the serger. So I have used 12-weight thread in my serger, and I use it in the loopers, and I usually use like a 30-weight thread for the needles, and that creates some really cool effects. We actually have a great blog post about using different thread weights in the serger, but you should have no problems using that 12 weight in the loopers. And you can create really cool edging effects, and you can even put that metallic spool in one of the needles and a 30 weight in the other, and you'll just have all kinds of fun stuff going on. Okay, let me just see if I've got any more to address. Thanks for joining me this morning, guys. Very cute. It seems like everybody's liking that onesie. And, okay. Also, if you want to use a hand embroidery hoop for the hand embroidery, by all means. However, I would use a larger piece of sticky Fabri-Solvi so that the Fabri-Solvi is under the entire shirt in the hoop. That way your hoop is not going to distort and push away those knit fabric fibers, because then after you unhoop it, all of a sudden you're going to have this either puckering around where the hoop was, which we call hoop burn. Not really puckering, but it'll shove those fabric fibers aside. It'll be really hard to recover from. Okay, yes, someone asked, did I use a hoop? Maybe it was too stretched in the hoop. I didn't use a hoop for those reasons, but again, additional stabilizer on the other side of your t-shirt, your onesie, is a great tip. All right, so let me go to one of the projects I created using the new red, white, and blue machine embroidery mini palette. Again, you get 6 really fun spools of thread, including a bobbin thread, because how often do we forget to grab that bobbin thread when we're creating machine embroideries? And you'll get the same suite of designs, but they have been digitized for machine embroidery. So now your machine is going to be stitching them out for you. And they're all in the beautiful colors. The colors are suggested by the thread palette. You could certainly mix and match and change the colors to suit your needs using the palette. Let me just find the right photo. Okay, so here we go. Here I am stitching out the Home of the Brave design in the hoop. I'm stitching it out on a tea towel. It's one of those kind of crinkly tea towels, so it looks a little bit wrinkly, but it's supposed to be wrinkly in the hoop. And I used a sheet of Sulky Tear Easy for my stabilizer because it tears away so cleanly from the back side. And when you're doing a towel where you're going to see the back side of the embroidery, you want to make sure that you have no stabilizer left behind. You could also use the sticky Fabri-Solvi on the back side of the towel, or Fabri-Solvi that is not sticky, and just use it as a stabilizer and it'll wash away completely. So something that's going to be completely gone once you're done with the embroidery. All right, and then I made this cute tea towel, and all I did was I took some remnants, some scraps of some patriotic themed fabrics that I found in my stash. I pieced them together. I created about a 6-inch border, and I just sewed it to the bottom edge of the towel. And then I did a double fold with a mitered corner, and it has a nice finished edge to it. So the instructions for this particular tea towel are also linked in the description of today's post. Super easy, but I give you some more tips on the embroidery process. I love the little red stars in this design. I think it just adds a little, a little more color, and it's just super cute. So the white thread that you see in between the little the little blue firework spritzes, that's the glowy thread. Now, I didn't have to use glowy thread because this is a home decor item, but I wanted you to be able to see that thread in use. And you could certainly swap that out for the metallic and have a really cool, festive, patriotic towel for your kitchen. This also makes a great gift. So let's see if we have any questions regarding the machine embroidery. It's pretty straightforward as far as machine embroidery tutorials go, but you do have to contend with that crinkly fabric. So imagine if you're embroidering something like gauze. It has this natural wrinkle to it, and you don't want to mess with that. You don't want to press it out. So you're actually going to end up embroidering over some of these quote unquote wrinkles so that the rest of the towel keeps its integrity throughout the towel length. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, so do various printer types work? Yes, you can use a laser or an inkjet printer for that stick and stitch. And if you haven't tried it yet, I highly recommend it. The other thing you can do is you can actually draw on the stick and stitch as well. I have used anything from a light pencil to a permanent marker on it to transfer designs. Again, you need to be careful that you're using running water for the removal and not submerging it. The pencil ink will lift off from the product and want to travel elsewhere onto your design. So just keep that in mind, or do a test so that you know what type of ink you can use if you want to draw on it. But yes, printable, I have had people say, and Sulky recommends, to put your printer on the draft setting so that it's not saturated with ink when you go to apply it to your fabric. That makes total sense. I highly suggest doing that if you are able to. You just want to take all the precautions that you can up front, even though it might not happen for you. Am I right? Definitely try it. The other thing you can do, I don't know if you guys happen to have a sulky iron-on transfer pen. Let me get rid of this so you can see what I'm doing here. If you happen to have sulky iron-on transfer pens, these come in all kinds of different colors, so you can color code your design as well. You can create your own embroidery designs using these transfer pens and then iron the design onto your t-shirt. Just make sure you are mirror imaging things so that when you go to iron it on, it's oriented the right way. Super important when you're working with lettering designs. But these come in various colors, so if you don't want to use the stick and stitch for whatever reason, you can try the iron-on transfer pens. But honestly, I think the stick and stitch is the easiest, the most user-friendly way to go, and you can use up little scraps. So for the Born Free design, it printed out and it was, just the top third of the sheet. So then you can use the other third to back your t-shirt, or you can use the other third for various techniques. I have actually cut strips of the stick and stitch and I use it as tape when I'm doing in the hoop projects. I will tape down my applique fabrics and things like that for projects in the hoop. And that way, if I forget to remove that tape and I go all the way through the project, it's completely water soluble and I don't have to get in there with tweezers and try taking out the tape. I just throw it in the washing machine and all of a sudden my tape is gone. So there's so many different uses for it. I highly, highly suggest you get some and try it. Okay, so let me just make sure we don't have any other questions. Do you use a different sewing needle for the metallics? The answer is yes, I do. Not for the handwork, obviously, but for machine embroidery, I will use a 9014 top stitch needle. I like to use organ needles. You could see them on my wall right there. A 9014 top stitch, or I use an organ metal needle. You definitely want to use a different needle because there's a lot more friction produced at the high speeds of embroidery when you're working with metallic thread, and it needs room to go through that needle. Okay, if your needle hole is too small, it's going to fight to try to get out or get through, and you're going to result in some breakage and some knots. It has nothing to do with the thread quality. It has to do with the size of the needle that you're using. So definitely get a different needle when you're using metallics, and then remember to switch over to your other needle. That's what makes organ needles so awesome. I may have to hop up and get you one to show you, is in these eco packs, you can slide down the protective film. I will just grab one and show you. Pardon me. You can slide down the protective film, open her up, grab a new needle, and then after you've used it, it has this corrugated cardboard inside. After you use it, you can move it 2 or 3 spaces to the right, move your plastic shield back up, and now you know, okay, I've used that needle. So when I go back to do some more metallic embroidery, I can grab that one and get a little more use out of it, and it doesn't get lost in the mix of needles. So that's why I really love, love, love using these organ needles, and they are available at sulky.com. They're very affordable. They're great quality. There's all different types that you would need. And when I do a tutorial, I always link to the organ needle that I used for the project. Sometimes I choose the wrong one, and then I go back and I tell you why it didn't work, and here's what I recommend. So that's another great reason why we should be consulting these blogs and these experts, is because they are doing that test work for us. We don't have to mess around and buy 18 different types of needles just to see what's going to work for the project. So again, love those organ needles. All right, let me make sure we don't have any more questions. Remember to like, share, comment on today's post because I have a great giveaway. I don't think I've even announced it yet. So today's giveaway is our 6-pack of Red, White, and You Handwork Mini Palette, which comes with the 6 designs. So like, share, comment, otherwise engage with today's post, and you're automatically eligible to receive that gift. I'll be answering, or I will be announcing the winner tomorrow, and so check back to see if you've won. All right, let's see. What if after washing it out, the stitches are too loose? Okay, so if you've done your handwork, you've washed out your stick and stitch, and your stitches are too loose. Honestly, I have not had this happen to me. If anyone has an answer to this question, please chime in. I think what you could do is stitch over those areas a second time, making sure that your stitches are a little bit more taut. Now, with a lot of handwork designs, if they're a little bit loose, it's not going to matter too much unless you're afraid it's so loose that it's going to get caught on things. And then you probably have to cut out that section and just re-embroider it. That would be my recommendation if it's really that loose. And that would be so unfortunate. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Again, using stabilizer on the right side and wrong side and kind of sandwiching that fabric beneath, that'll give you a really nice stable area to stitch through, and you can get your stitches really tight without any worry that that knit fabric is going to stretch underneath. Okay. Could not figure out how to get those needles out of the package. Well, I'm so glad I grabbed some off of the wall so that now you know. You just slide that down and open her up. Isn't that great? I love it. And then, as you can see, they hang so nicely just on a pegboard if you happen to have one of those in your sewing room, or you can, clip it to some other storage organization that you have. They also fit really nicely in a box, just lined up. So really, I'll take all the help I can get as far as organizing my sewing notions because I work in a really small area. I am in like a tiny shoebox here. And so I will take any help I can get as far as organizing things. Okay. Great. Thanks so much for chiming in, everybody. I love all the hearts and likes that are coming in. Okay. So the next project that I really would love your help with is I'm creating a pillow. I did mention the Land That I Love design. I'll show it to you. Here it is again. So I thought this was really great for a home decor project, and it would look really great as the focal point in the center of a pillow. So I have already kind of created the pillow top, and I'll show it to you here. Here's my pillow top. I did this with machine embroidery. And instead of having the black lettering, I chose to use the blue from the palette for the center, just to put a little more red, white, and blue flavor into this, because the fabric that I chose didn't have any blue going on. So what I am trying to decide is, do I put blue on the back fabric, or do I add blue pom-pom fringe? Because who doesn't love some pom-pom fringe, especially on a pillow? Am I right? Makes it so cute. So my question for you is, do I stick with this white fabric that has the little red stars and make that as the back? Or do I go with a blue fabric? And in any case, I think I'm adding the pom-pom fringe because it's the cutest and I absolutely love it. So I think fringe around the entire pillow perimeter. And again, I'm kind of torn as far as the backing fabric goes, but I'm Might need to stick with simplicity and go with the white and the red stars. Give me a thumbs up if that is your vote. White with red stars on the back with the pom-pom fringe. Give me a thumbs up if you like that. Or a blue fabric on the back and pom-pom fringe. What do you think? All right. Or something totally different, and maybe I pieced together some patriotic prints for the back so that it has, I don't know, something really cool. So I love it. I used the metallic thread, can you see, for the little spritzes, and it just gives it a little bit of sparkle, you know? Love it. So that is going to be up on the blog this weekend. You'll see the final iteration of this pillow and how it turned out and what everyone voted on. But I mean, at any case, you gotta go with the pom-pom fringe. I just love it. And I'll give tips for joining the ends of pom-pom fringe so that it looks totally seamless. People are always asking me for questions regarding that. Adding trim to things is really, really fun until you get to the joining part. Am I right? You don't want something sticking out like a sore thumb. I get questions all the time also. Do we sew in the middle of the tape? Do we sew at the end of the tape? And honestly, that is your personal preference. I like to hide the tape entirely. I want only the little pom-poms coming out of the seam. So that's a little bit of a personal preference, but I will be talking about that in the blog post as well. So you can always subscribe to our blog, and that way you'll get notifications when we have a new post up. And, our blog is full of fun new projects and free project downloads. And we have a lot of guests that come on our blog and share their tutorials and their ideas. And it's just a great, great place to be for project inspiration. So you can definitely subscribe to the blog. You'll get a little email notification when we have a new blog post, and you can click on over there and figure out what I did with this pillow. Mystery will be solved. So the last thing I want to talk about today is teacher appreciation. Okay. Now, any of the projects that I just talked about, the pillow, the tea towel, and even the onesie/t-shirt would make great gifts for a teacher. You could put any message that you want to on those projects and create them relatively quick and easily to gift to a teacher as we are approaching the last days of school. And I will say, Friday is the last day of school for my children, and I couldn't be happier to not be their teacher any longer. And I cannot wait for them to go back to their teachers and back to their school. I'm sure you all can relate. It has been a very challenging time, yet a really cool time to connect one-on-one with my kids, to really understand how they learn, how they like to learn, how they're doing in school. You can only know so much as a parent from what the teacher's telling you, from what your kids are telling you, especially when your kids are 5 and 8 years old. But seeing it hands-on has been a really unique experience. So, there's pros and cons to this whole situation that we've all been under. But at any rate, it is time to appreciate those teachers. Let them know that they have been awesome. I can't imagine what it's like to be a teacher and not have your entire class with you these last few months of school. What a huge bummer, to put it mildly. So, I've been thinking of what can I make that's homemade? How can my kids get involved in the project so that the teacher really feels the love, right? So we've got it's another palette, actually, another thread palette, but we've got a great project at Sulky, and it is called Hug a Teacher, okay? Here is the project. It's actually a notebook cover. You could use it to cover a journal. You could use it to cover a planner for 2021 to gift to your teacher as a sort of beacon of hope that we will all be back together in 2021, and they're going to need to make all those plans, right? So this is a machine embroidery palette. It comes with 10 spools of Sulky rayon in all these rainbow colors. Rainbows have been such a theme during this whole social distancing. I just think it couldn't be more appropriate. And you stitch it on your embroidery machine. So it comes with the design file. And thankfully, you can stitch it on your embroidery machine because it's a very large scale design. And it's actually done with cross stitches. I will show you a close up of that. Can you see the heart, the little patchwork heart? Those are all little cross stitches done by machine. I absolutely love it. It has all these little great phrases for your teacher. You know, what words describe a teacher? Motivating, dedicated, kind. All these words are on here, and it's in the shape of a little heart. So what I think is we will create these for our teachers, and then on the inside front cover of the journal, I'll put my kids' little handprints in paint. Won't that be cute? I thought that was such a cute idea. So if you all want to make this for the teachers in your lives, grab up that machine embroidery palette. Again, it comes with the design files. Choose the file for your machine and stitch it out. The notebook cover project is a PDF. We also have a blog post about that as well, so you can learn how to make the cover. And really, you could just stitch this out and make a card with it too. You don't have to make this whole project if you don't want to. But it's just, what a cute idea to remember our teachers, show them that we love them, show them that we so appreciate the hard work that they have been putting into preparing us for homeschooling the past couple of months. I know I couldn't have done it alone, and their help has just been invaluable. So that's just a great idea. You could also, you know what? Make the tea towel, put a different design on it. Make a tea towel and put the Hug a Teacher design on it. Make the pillow and swap out the design. There's just a whole slew of things that you can do to make sure that your teachers, your kids' teachers, maybe you have teachers that live on your block, relatives that have been teaching during this time of utter chaos. And, you know, let's show our love and let them know that we care for them. So let me make sure we've got no other questions. And thanks so much for letting me know how you guys are liking the live events. You know, we've been switching up the times a little bit to see if you all prefer a morning slot or an afternoon slot. And we may just keep switching it up so that those people who prefer the afternoon can tune in sometimes, and those who prefer the morning can tune in other times. As always, this video will become on demand as soon as the live video ends, and you can watch it at your leisure after the fact, or maybe you missed the beginning. You can always go back. I also post these videos on our YouTube channel, which is full of tons of great how-to videos, video series. If you haven't checked out our Intro to Cross Stitch video series, it's there as well. All right, and we do, for those of you just tuning in, we've got a giveaway today for all of those who like, share, and comment on today's post. You will be eligible for our little gifty, and today it is a 6-pack of Sulky handwork threads. This one comes with 4 spools of 12 weight solids, a spool of 12 weight cotton petite, blendables, and a spool of metallic thread that you can use to create all kinds of fun patriotic themed designs, including this one right here that I was just talking about. So that's our giveaway today. Okay, let's see. My favorite threads are sulky. Thank you so much. My favorite threads are sulky too. Okay, lots of comments today. Thank you, Donna. Love it. Oh, these are comments about the pillow coming in. Yes. Giving pops of colors, experimenting with the different colors that are in that palette, you know, it's all up to you. You get to be the designer. We're just really arming you with the tools to create something special. So, Okay, and I'm getting all the votes coming in for the pillow. I appreciate your help. You know, sometimes I start a project. I don't know if you're in the same boat, but sometimes I start a project with a great idea. I start sewing it and I'm like, no, this is just not going to work out how I planned it. Now I have to go back to the drawing board. And then it's kind of harder to jumpstart my creativity because I had this idea going into it and then it's not going to work. So that's kind of what has happened with this pillow, but I think it's going to end up turning out really great. Okay. So before I say goodbye today, I wanted to make you all aware that we have a great opportunity for online learning right now. If you have not tried an online class while you are sheltering in place or in quarantine or what have you, there is no better time than when we have the time, right? Sulky has a lot of online education opportunities. We've got long format courses you can take. We've got short format courses you can take. We have teacher training if you want to learn how to teach someone else to sew or embroider and maybe make a business out of it for yourself. We've got things for kids. We've got things for beginners. We've got things for experts, okay? Right now, we have our courses, or our course, which is called Not Your Typical Table Toppers. That includes sort of some mini lessons inside of it. Well, we've broken those out, and those are available for $9.99 a piece. So for just about $10, you can take one of those courses, choose the project that speaks to you the most, expert instruction on all the techniques, all the Sulky products involved, and you can create some really beautiful things for your home to dress up your home. I don't know about you, but since I have been at home so much lately, I'm looking around thinking to myself, how can I make things different? How can I do some home improvement? What can I sew to, stop looking at this table the way that it is, to dress up my couch cushions, that type of thing. So if you're in the same boat, now is a really unique opportunity where you can find those courses for only $9.99. I linked to all of them individually in the description of today's post, so you can go and check them out. There's little video previews so you can see which one you like the best, but it's a really unique opportunity to get that course sort of piecemeal at a great price. You won't have to spend the $79.99 for the entire class. You can just kind of pick and choose the project that speaks to you. All right, so I wanted to make sure that you're aware of that because we want to be bringing you different opportunities at different price points so that you can experience all that we have to offer. Okay. Oh, there is another question here. Let's see. Can't wait to see your pillow. I can't wait to see it either. I hope I have time to finish it this week. It will go up this weekend though. So definitely subscribe to the blog and you will see the final. Is there a video on what needles to use with different threads, metallics, etc.? You know, there isn't one video that really focuses on this entirely. We've got snippet videos on pairing needles with thread for embroidery or pairing needles with thread for decorative sewing. But there isn't one video that explains it all because I'll tell you what, we would be on screen until next week. There are always, there are different interpretations. There are different people who believe that different things work for them. And we want to include all that information so that you can make the decision based on the type of sewing that you do. So if we went into what needle could be used for anything, that would just be so much content. But we do talk about that a lot on our blog posts. You can search needles and thread on the blog and you'll get a lot of resources for what to pair with what. And speaking of that, we also have a stabilizer selector tool on our website. I don't know if you guys know this, but that is one of the number one questions we get asked is, what stabilizer do I use for this? Which one should I choose for this type of fabric? Well, on our website, and I've never seen this anywhere else, you can use these drop-down menus and choose the technique you're working with, the fabric you're using, what you want to do with it, and it will spit out a recommendation for stabilizer. Now, just like I was talking about with the needles, there may be 2 or even 3 different recommendations, but there is a little blurb in there on, okay, if you're working with this fabric, you may want 2 layers. Or if you're doing this, you could use this or this, and you'll have a great result. So then you kind of can just try what works for you, but you'll have a great starting point. So stabilizer selector tool, so cool. All right, I digress. But it's a great, great resource. All right. Love the stabilizer selector. I use it all the time. I'm so glad. Definitely bookmark that one because I use it all the time as well, just to make sure that I'm on a good starting point with the tutorials that I bring to you. It definitely takes a lot of the guesswork away when you are starting a project. You might as well start with a recommendation and go from there. So thank you everyone for joining me today. Again, to be eligible for today's giftee, all you have to do is like, comment, and share today's post. Be sure to subscribe to our blog, again, to see how I finish that pillow. And also you can subscribe to our newsletter. We only send it out once a month. It has great, great information, a little note from me, and you'll get notified for any other product specials and deals that are perfect for all your sewing and embroidering and quilting and creating. And I look forward to talking with you next week. Thanks again for joining me and have a wonderful day.